Now, in 1964, the World Medical Association developed ethical principles as guidance for medical doctors in biomedical research involving human subjects. So the World Medical Association adopted the Declaration of Helsinki in response to concerns with individual patients or patient populations. So basically, after the Nuremberg Code, there were some issues that arose, and these were discussed amongst the World Medical Association groups, and that's why they ended up coming up with a declaration which was kind of like an improvement of the Nuremberg Code, and it became known as this Declaration of Helsinki. So the primary purpose of the accord was to declare individual patient interests before those of society. And they felt that those individual interests weren't fully covered in the Nuremberg Code. So that Declaration of Helsinki that first came out in 1964 was revised again in 75 and 83 and 89 and 96 and in 2000. So it's something that is ongoing and still discussed today. And in many research articles, you'll actually read a statement that somehow along the line states that this study was conducted in line with the Declaration of Helsinki. So it's still relevant in every experiment that is usually conducted around the world today, especially in human experiments. They are conducted according to this Declaration of Helsinki. And this is basically an improvement upon the Nuremberg Code. So this Declaration of Helsinki that started in 1964, the British Medical Journal announced, the emergence of this Declaration of Helsinki in its 18th of July edition with the following words. So this is literally what they wrote, that a draft code of ethics on human experimentation was published in the British Medical Journal on the 27th of October 1962. And, they went on to say, a revised version was accepted as the final draft at the meeting of the World Medical Association in Helsinki in June 1964. They also wrote, and it is to be known as the Declaration of Helsinki. Now, along with this announcement was a 700-word article of text containing that original Declaration of Helsinki. Now, I doubt that they knew at the time literally how important this document would become in the context of worldwide research and research ethics, because it still is used today. It's quite remarkable. So the original Declaration of Helsinki literally had its roots in that Nuremberg Code, and it does still contain those most important original standards of the Nuremberg Code, but it has a few additions and some amendments. For example, the Nuremberg Code states that voluntary consent of human subjects is absolutely essential. But now in the Declaration of Helsinki, this has been changed to allow consent to be given by the legal guardian in cases of legal incapacity. So it's kind of fine-tuning the Nuremberg Code to make it even more appropriate or more usable. Here's a brief version of the basic principles of the Declaration of Helsinki. First and foremost, the physician's duty in research is to protect life, health, privacy, and dignity of the human participant. So you can see the focus here is on that individual participant's protection, and not just of their life, but their health, their privacy, and even their dignity, right? So the second point, research involving humans must conform to generally accepted scientific principles and thorough knowledge of the scientific literature and the methods. So again here, they're getting at this point that, don't waste subjects' time if it's been done before. So you need to know the literature, you need to know science, you need to be qualified to do a study to be allowed to go ahead and do the experiment that you want to do. Because if it's already been done and you go, oh, sorry, I didn't realize that, well, that's not ethically acceptable. You have to know what's been done on the topic. You have to know that your study hasn't been done yet, or at least your aspect of it. They need to be able to prove that this hasn't been done before and this study should be done, that benefits society. And again, that you protect your subject. So the third point is research protocols should be reviewed by an independent committee. These independent committees should look at the study because maybe researchers can get a little carried away. And we will discuss a few of the post-Nuremberg classic breaches of ethics so that you see why this independent committee issue came up in the Declaration of Helsinki. Next point is that research protocols should be conducted by medically scientifically qualified individuals. Again, if you don't really know what you're doing, you're not scientifically trained, and you screw up the study, you have lots of methodological flaws, well, then it can't be published. It doesn't mean anything, so it's not contributing, it's not helping society in any way, shape or form. It's just not acceptable from the ethics point of view. And next point, risks and burdens to the participant should not outweigh the benefits. So again, I'll talk about some of these breaches of ethics and why this risk-benefit ratio is quite important. The next point is researchers should stop the study if risks are found to outweigh the potential benefits. So if significant risks start to happen, you should stop the study straight away. The next point, research is justified only if there's a reasonable likelihood that that population that is participating in the study will also benefit from the results. Again, I'll show you some breaches that have breached this particular standard, so you'll get an idea of what I mean. But the people that are being studied should actually also benefit from this, not just other people. You shouldn't experiment on one group of people for the rest of the world to benefit from. The actual population being studied should also benefit. And participants must volunteer and be informed in research projects. So obviously that's a number one point. Every precaution must be taken to respect privacy, confidentiality, and participants' physical and mental integrity. So this is kind of a different way of saying the first bullet point, but again, I suppose it's ramming it home that every precaution must be taken to respect the privacy, the confidentiality of the participant, as well as their physical and mental integrity. And consent must be obtained from minors if a child is able to do so, as well as their legal guardians. And then the final point here, investigators are obliged to preserve the accuracy of results. Obviously, you're not allowed to fake research results. Funny that. Anyway, and both negative and positive results must be publicly available. This is just key. A scientist is supposed to be objective and honest and always publish their results, even if they're not what you wanted them to be as a researcher. So before we move on, again, test yourself to make sure that you're picking up on the key points that we're discussing about the Declaration of Helsinki.